Supervisor Federici,
Here.
Councilman Fancher,
Here.
Councilwoman Mattice, Councilman Proudman, Councilman Smith,
Here.
Carrie Sutton, here, Jim Copp,
Here.
Marie Stuber, Diane Williams, Tyler Lotta,
Here. Okay. Stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the first item here is the June 12th, 2023 Town Board meeting minutes that you were sent a draft of. And there's a hard copy here if you want to refresh your memory. Since it's only you two right now, I need first and seconds from both of you.
I will leave the motion.
Yes, I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Sorry.
opposed?
Could-
So,
who made the motion? Kelly?
yeah.
Limited options here.
Need a pen?
Okay. Privilege of the floor. Has anybody signed in?
Fred?
Fred? You're on.
I was just wanting to speak up about the corner up on Conesville Road in front of my property. Ever since the town highway department regraded the shoulders on both sides of that turn, cars tend to kick gravel in, and there has been a lot of cars kind of skidding, almost like marbles, on the gravel that keeps getting kicked in. It comes in from Ken's side over there on his side, and also since they added to the shoulder on my side, it gives the appearance that the road continues further than it does. And then when someone would realize, oh no, it turns, by that point you're like kind of hitting gravel, so a car would then slide on those marbles, you know, the gravel that's there. Anyhow, Ken and I have both witnessed several accidents, well, an accident and several slidings lately, and we keep hearing cars skidding when they get to that turn, and it's only a matter of time that there's going to be two cars coming and one slides and slams into the other. I don't know if we can either pack down whatever's on the inner one so it doesn't kick some into it, or even better, I know I mentioned this in the past, would be putting a white line on the edge of the road of the turn, because right now there's like 30 feet of gravel after the road that goes actually onto my property as well, and it makes it seem like the road's there, and if you cut quick, you're gonna fishtail and you're gonna like spin out. And I think the guy that went into Ken's property, that accident, he went to that turn, he went in there, fishtailed out like this, recovered, then went like this, and then went down the side, and you know, and I ran down, you know, I drove down, Ken went down, I called 911, and you know, it's happening, you know, Ken can attest, right, Ken? I mean,
Very slippery.
it happens.
Driving too fast.
They're going too fast, but everybody's a problem.
Yeah.
Fishtail back and forth, it's kind of a dangerous
It
turn.
sneaks up on people, so it's just been happening a lot more lately, I think, because the gravel's getting pushed in from both sides, causing it to be very, I don't know how you could fix it, but it's been happening a lot.
So the man that can answer
Yeah,
that,
so,
it's
well,
right here.
speed is definitely a factor. I'll have to stress that because people fly all over town. I believe there is a corner sign there, if I recall.
There's two arrows.
But anyway, it's gonna be fixed here within a month and a half, I'm gonna say, because we're resealing that whole road. So that, yes, the corner is gonna be wider there. The reason the corner is wider there is because that corner was too narrow. You know, if you guys need two trucks there, that's why the gravel's there. But it will be double sealed, which will be essentially a hard surface, so there will be no skidding. But it'll be.
It's just scary when you hear
I'm
that.
waiting for Gorman,
Oh, really?
basically. Gorman, and you know, when stuff lines up, it's going to be basically blacktop right there. So there'll be no more skidding. As long as they read the signs and slow down, everybody will be good.
Well, that's another story.
We can only make them do that.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? Oh, okay. Then we'll get into the regular reports, and we'll start with the assessor's report. How's your voice?
I think I can survive.
Okay.
Dear board members, the final rolls were delivered to the town clerk on June 28th. They can be viewed at the clerk's office during open office hours or online at the Schoharie County website. The hectic last 6 months have slowed down. I will be reviewing the most recent sales from July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023 in the next few months to prepare for the finalization of the town's 100% market valuation update this coming year. During August, I will be on vacation from the 21st through the 5th of September. I will not always be in a service area to monitor emails and voicemails. When I do check them, I will reply to emergency needs until I return on the 5th. I have reviewed the draft of the local law for the fire and EMS exemption. Only concern I would have is, are you allowing for 2 owners, each owning 50% of the parcel, to receive the exemption, which would then total 20%, 10% each. Thank you, Bill, for all the hard work you put into this local law. The office is open now by appointments only. Marie Stuber.
All right, let me just make one comment. I think it's a misunderstanding. We're not going to get into the local law because tonight we're just going to make a motion to have a public hearing at next month's meeting. But there is, and I believe, I've been told, I haven't seen it in writing, we couldn't do that anyway if we wanted to. Like 10% for each person. The state has put a cap on it at 10%. So it's my understanding anyway, the way this is explained to me. But I mean, if it's not, and the board wants to do something differently, that's why you have a public hearing and you talk it through. But anyway, I think it's more of a misunderstanding. Motions?
I'll make a motion.
Carl?
I'll second it.
Kelly? All that in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Thank you. Code enforcement report. Jim?
Well, it's leveling off a lot of permits that Rich had done, people are doing work on now, so it's inspections. I just did three building permits this month and one C of O, although I think that's going to be 2 real quick, and a property search, and I did 4 inspections and some pre-site visits, which was it was interesting, and one real long, lengthy one on that church that has a big addition on up on 1174 Powder Mountain Road, and they're doing a great job on that.
The new owners.
The new owners, yeah, they have some big plans, and so far it's still in demo field, but I saw the plans and it's going to be very nice. So that's pretty much, it was leveled off this month a little bit.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Catch up on what you got in front of you. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, motions?
I'll make it.
I'll second it.
Carl, all in favor? All in favor? I know we know the answer, but we have to do the formality of it. All in favor?
When you didn't make the motion, you shouldn't have to say it.
I don't, well, I don't make the rules. This is even more preposterous. Any opposed? I was told I have to do that when I first started.
Yeah, you do.
You could oppose.
Yeah, but I don't. Thank you. Town clerk's report.
2 dog licenses, real busy month. And there were a lot of really random phone calls.
All right. And in that case, motions?
I'll motion.
Carl, Kelly, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Sewer district operators.
Town collector.
Oh,
Come on,
I don't
jump
have
around.
I did jump around. I apologize.
There is nothing from Diane.
See, I told you.
Perfect.
So
Now we'll do sewer district.
average daily flow rate was 3,207 gallons. The heating systems, of course, shut down for the season. Still nothing noted from the boiler. Flow meter flumes were cleaned. Propane is at 45%. Kinsley Power, they're still waiting to hear back on them when they're going to come out and do those repairs. They have started their annual septic tank inspections, and not in this report, there was that call on Sunday evening, the alarms that went off, there was some groundwater from the rain, but that was easily resolved.
Yeah, I'm just curious how that infiltrated into the system now.
That is a good question, I don't know. That is a question for Travis, and we can call him if we have those questions.
No, my suspicion is someone's running their drainage into, or some pump into their septic.
Possibly, yeah.
And that's sometimes how, that's a big no-no. All right, motion.
I'll make it.
Kelly?
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Carried. Historian's report.
I'll make it really short. Been doing a lot of researching things, a lot of different manners regarding future historic markers, property research things, research for other historians in the area related to people connected to Conesville. And we just tentatively scheduled an unveiling for the new Manor Hill Creamery historic marker on August 18th at 6:00 p.m. But that's tentative because we have to make sure that the marker will actually be complete by then. Should
We
be.
need a little time to get it into the ground
Right.
too. At least a week.
We gotta make sure the timing is right on that. So a lot of stuff going on.
Great. Anything else? Okay.
I'll
Motion?
make a motion.
Carl?
I'll second it.
Kelly? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Highway super.
Let's see. So we worked on Davis Road quite a bit, custom shoulders, did some ditching out through that. There's a dark shaded area that was real muddy. We got that all touched up, so that road's in much better shape now. Mowing road shoulders and cutting brush, which can be a popular subject I've seen across town. Just so that brush mower does it can leave a potential messing spot, but I hope people understand why the reason for the brush cutting is, to keep the weeds and the trees back so that stuff doesn't get bigger. Sight distance, I mean, there's so many reasons for it, but it has to be done. We're trying to be as respectful as possible with that. Some people, I think, don't think that, but it's the case, no one's doing anything intentionally. I just want to kind of put that out there. We're prepping for the double seal on Conesville, East Conesville Road, Durham, Tolls Hollow, and Bush Roads. We're pretty much ready for that. We had a little setback with our stone. It's not testing properly, but Carver and Gorman are taking care of that for us, so hopefully the next couple of weeks. We're patching potholes, sunken culverts. The Robinson Road was one of them that had a lot of sunken culverts. The trucks, 2 of our 10-wheelers we've been going back and forth to Gaboa, Jefferson, Rensselaerville, helping them pave so they can return the favor and help us get our roads paved too. Replacing driveway pipes, and that was pretty much the sum of it for the last month.
It's a lot more than, doesn't imply all the work that your crew and you put in.
That isn't all of it. It's
No.
there's a lot more,
It's-
but I can't, we go through so much every day, it's hard to jog it all down in my mind. But the guys are doing a real good job.
Let's say that. Okay,
I'll make the motion, we accept that.
we have a motion from Kelly, and
I'll
Carl
second it.
Carl seconds it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Okay. Next, the supervisor's county report. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail. Maybe I'm just going to comment on something you may have read in the newspaper. This is about Cobleskill, and you say this is a county report. Well, the county's sort of getting dragged into it. I'm going to be very cautious how I say this, but there is, the village of Cobleskill seems to be, I don't know what they're doing, but the number of police officers on the village police force is diminishing quite rapidly. There's about another 3 to 4 leaving at the end of this month. And the concern is, where will they get their police coverage? And our department, the sheriff's department, which covers us, is shorthanded as it is. So there is a real dilemma there. And that was part of the emergency I told you about, Gary, I had to go to. It's very controversial, and there's a lot of people, fortunately, in Cobleskill that are very concerned about the level of police force. They're budgeted for 18, and they're down to about, at the end of July, 6 or 7. And I don't know how they can do it. and they're looking to us, meaning the county, which us means all of us, would feel some of that. But everybody, as I found out today, all local police, all towns are responsible for having some kind of police coverage. It could be sheriff, it could be the state police by default. But once they have coverage, by law, they can't just walk away from it and say, we don't want to do it anymore. It takes a permissive referendum. And I don't know how many people are going to vote to disband their police department. Or they have to buy that service from somebody else. We really don't want to sell it to them because we got to keep them working.
Yeah.
So it is a difficult situation, and there's more. Probably haven't seen in the paper, but there's more to it. And I'm just giving you a heads up. You're going to hear a lot about this in the next few weeks. And I know I'm talking kind of, but
Yeah, I'm almost afraid to ask questions.
no, please, go ahead, ask questions. I can always say it. I don't know or I can't tell you.
Why? Why are they losing the force? Why are they dropping out? You just said that they're supposed to have 18, they're down to 6 or 7, so they're losing 25% or better of their force.
Yeah.
Why is that? Is it pay, benefits, working conditions?
None of the above.
That sense. I'm just going to go to the logic that I would take and say then probably it is fixable.
It's self-inflicted.
Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah. It is fixable.
Yes.
Okay.
And concurrent with that, the county is, I appointed a committee, because that's what the polling that I did at the beginning of the year of the board members, I appointed a committee to look at the potential of a merger that would be beneficial to both the county and Cobleskill PD, but that will take years. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen, like they don't have overnight, they're not there 24/7 anymore. And that's part of the problem, because they're too short-handed, so they pretty much threw it over the fence to the state police.
Yeah, the county's got a pretty young force because they just expanded, in recent years and added a whole bunch of people on. So, they're inexperienced. I don't know if taking on more business is really what they should be doing.
Well, no, it's just a matter of numbers. And it's hard to get, like any other where, about highway jobs or any kind of, not just the public, private sector too. It is very difficult to find people and retain them, because now you have a situation where you do get good people at the county level, but I'm hearing the same thing in Cobleskill PD, but there's no loyalty anymore. They'll jump over to another town or another county because they can make $5,000 or $10,000 more a year. And the problem is too, on top of that, these people that we hire, cadets, I don't know what their title is when they're going to the academy, but that costs like $15,000, $20,000, and the state doesn't pay that. The hiring agency pays it. So now there's a law, but you got to go pull teeth to get it. If you recruit somebody or they jump ship and go to another department, the former department is entitled to get reimbursed for that training. And that's also another cost. The training and then trying to chase people for the money. I mean, I think it was Schenectady County that owes $14,000 to take them to court. In any event, more to come. I guess the other thing I'll mention is that I said last time that we announced that we had a buyer for the old Best Western, and they were going to be incentivized in terms of paying, that's not there, somebody else, the old back taxes, if they were to meet certain deadlines in terms of construction, not deadlines, more like mileposts. And I stopped by there about 2 weeks ago, and man, they're about 3-4 weeks ahead of schedule. I mean, this place was a disaster. Every room was, was a disaster. I mean, it's going to cost at least couple of $1 million to bring it back up. But the gentleman that's investing in this is really doing a heck of a job. And, you know, it's like far removed from us, I know that. But it does bring a lot of sales tax and occupancy tax when it's up and running, which benefits everybody in the county. And if people are staying there rather than going to Schenectady, because they have we have a couple nice places in the county for destination weddings, like the Sablewood or the Tater Barn. These are really nice places that people come from the city to have weddings. A couple hundred people. I've heard of weddings for $100,000 in some of these places. And where do they have to go? They have to hire a bus and send them to Schenectady for a hotel. Yeah, we'll have our own hotel here, and this will make a big difference. And we already have people from Cooperstown, Chamber of Commerce, who tell us that they're hard pressed to take in all the people that visit the Hall of Fame, where they have like these programs where kids fly in from all over the country and they play at Cooperstown. The families no place to stay.
Yeah, the Cooperstown All-Star Village just merged with Cal Ripley Association.
Really?
Yeah, he was just up there.
Wow.
He was just up there, and that's just gonna make that just continue to grow.
Yeah, and there's no place for the families. I mean, they have hotels there, and they charge a fortune. They're gonna try and send people our way.
Yeah, well, they fill Oneonta. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
all the way as Oneonta is from there, they fill that when they're.
You know how much they
in
get
the summer.
for a room in the summer on the weekend in Oneonta? $350.
Nice.
It's nice if you're on the receiving end of it.
So Johnny can play ball.
Right. Anyway. All right, that's enough of that. We're going to go into town business now, and you see this gentleman here, Bill Van Gorder from NBT Insurance. You probably don't know him.
Can I get a motion?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. All right, I'll make it.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Sorry about that, Bill.
You're good.
Bill is here, he's from MDT Insurance, and he's going to talk about our annual insurance bill, which is just as a quick primer. I say MDT Insurance, we're members of the New York Municipal Insurance Reciprocal, which is sort of like a self-insurance deal, but correct me if I'm not saying this right, Bill, that NBT is the ones who administer and carry this for us.
Yeah, we actually helped start NYMER.
Oh, you did?
Back 30 years ago. When the insurance markets took a dive, non-renewed the majority of the municipalities in the state of New York. My predecessor took all of the municipalities, and I guess I'm kind of stand here, so I'm not, I can't have everybody watching.
Well, not watching the camera. No, just talk loud. We'll pick.
I can talk loud.
Go ahead.
And so anyways, my predecessor took all the municipalities in Fulton County, moved them into the NYMER arena. That gave them enough capacity to start the program 30 years ago. When they started that program, there were some standard philosophies that were, the Association of Towns was adamant that these philosophies are part of the program. One, you have a level premium, which means the NYMER underwriting team will underwrite the account. They won't throw a lowball number on a municipality just to write the insurance 1 year, only to turn around the next couple of years and raise their rates. They won't do that. Two, if you have a loss, they're looking to find ways to cover you. If you have a lawsuit, they're looking for ways to defend you. NYMER will not pay a frivolous lawsuit just to make it go away. They don't believe in that. They pay more money. Attorney fees, cost for the attorneys, they pay this. They will not settle a frivolous lawsuit. And I think that's very important because you try to maintain a good reputation in your community. And NYMER's not for profit, which means they don't have to settle a claim in accordance to protect their bottom line. I think that's important. They have risk management, and risk management's been part of the program. I can have a risk manager out here. If you need one, there's programs available. We'll talk a little bit about cyber. So in 30 years, we've gone from 15 accounts in NYMER all the way up to the largest provider in the state. There's almost 1,000 municipalities in the NYMER program right now. So it's the strongest. It's the only insurance program for municipalities in the state where you can pick up the phone and talk to the president of the company, because you're not an insured, you're a subscriber to the program, And being a reciprocal means that there are 12 board members who are municipal officials that run the company on your behalf, right? So it's not, it's a very close-knit, well-ran program. And so that's your, in a nutshell, that's your NYMER program, right? Now, I have your renewal in front of you. I have to say that this is my first time here. It's one of the most beautiful rides I've ever been on, I have to say that. I'm not coming out here in the wintertime, you're on your own.
That's why this thing expires in July.
That's exactly right. So, everybody did a great job on your presentation, so I will forego my line-by-line blow with the insurance renewal.
Please.
I'll keep it short, okay? So, but there are a couple things we want to talk about. And let's just start at 27, okay? And that's the premium page. As we go through the line, I'll explain the coverage, I'll explain why it went up or what's happened in that line. Your insurance last year was $26,065.26, okay? And this year, your insurance renewal is $28,014.94. And that's without the option. We're going to get into some discussion about the option. Now, when you look at the increases that have taken place, one of the things that NYMER did is they've hired a consultant called CBIZ, C-B-I-Z. They are an independent company that has performed property appraisals for your buildings and put a number, value-wise, on the building. Now, in doing that this year, what CBIZ has said is because of the inflationary environment that we're in, you need to take the values, the blanket limit of coverage that you have, which is on page 5. You don't have to go there. It's $3.2 million. That was raised 9%. Okay? And they gave you notice on that. So that is the explanation for the property. That's also the explanation for the boiler and machinery. Now, I will tell you that boiler and machinery is building systems and equipment, telemetry, controls, valves, mixers, everything that you have down there in the sewer treatment plant, right? It's now heavy on boiler and machinery. I like to use the example that lightning hits the tree across the street, blows the tree apart, never hits your building, but it takes your electrical system out, right? That's boiler and machinery coverage. It can happen down, it can happen anywhere. That's how it works. Your general liability went from $34.25 40 cents to $34.65, right? So that went up just a few dollars. And so when I look at that, what that tells me is, as a small upstate rural town, you do not have a lot of general liability claims. That's the first thing that it tells me. The second thing that it tells me is your budget's pretty stable from year to year, because the underwriter uses the budget to determine the premium in the general liability. Okay. We talk about road hazard claims. I will tell you the number one severity loss that hits a small town is a road maintenance claim. I would encourage you to make sure your prior written notice laws are up to date, which means we are not negligent for a road defect unless we've received prior written notice of the defect. And if we have prior written notice of the defect and we fail to act on it, that's an omission and we're negligent in that case, right? And I'm sure you're doing road signs and road checks and dotting your I and crossing your T's, right? It's very important in a small town, right? You've got this scenario that you're talking about tonight, but you got a fix coming, and that's good. It should be documented in the notice, and that's why. Okay. Your crime coverage, your crime coverage stayed the same. Now, your crime coverage is really designed to protect the town's money and property from both internal and external theft, right? And so we see that a little bit, not a lot less now than we used to see it, but I can tell you that you have to have your crime coverage in place legally from a legal standpoint. Your inland marine, that's really a lot of your stuff, right? So this is contractor type equipment, it's heavy trucks, it's, and your price for this went from $78.50 to $78.61, I'll round it up, okay? And so you really are talking about graders, front-end loaders, backhoes. There's a list here in your proposal. You can go through it. Matter of fact, I should give you a copy of it. Right? Take a look at it. But that's your inland marine schedule. Your auto liability went from $3,373 to $4,348.30. Now, why did that go up? That is an insurance line that has taken an increase, not because of the losses here in Conesville, but because of the losses that have hit the industry in a universal aspect, okay? I mean, you have State Farm that's pulling out of Florida, they're pulling out of a number of other states because of the auto liability. The problem that you have with NYMER securing auto liability insurance isn't so much our driving record here. We don't have a problem here with our driving record, right? But what we have is NYMER has to turn around and secure reinsurance, which is an insurance company that provides insurance to the NYMER program. And so that's where, in their treaty, it costs more to renew the treaty, and that's why there's been an increase handed down. Your owner's contractor's protected, that stays the same. The owner's contractor's protected. I like that policy because what that policy says is, you know, you have infrastructure in a New York State right away, and probably a lot of your sewer lines, right? Mm-hmm. And if you are brought into a suit or claim due to the work that you're performing, maintenance work on your water, sewer lines, and other infrastructure in New York State right away, and a suit or claim comes not against us, but comes against the state of New York on behalf of the work that we performed as a contractor, right? We're not a contractor, but we're performing contractor type work. And OCP policy is designed to protect the state from the suit, right? And I like that because in lieu of the OCP policy and a big $275 charge, you have another option, which is to waive the OCP at $1 million limit and turn around and take an official undertaking to pick up all the loss that the state brings against you, and I don't recommend that you do that. I would not recommend it. So that's why the policy's in place. Your public officials, now this is a policy, and again, you see it went up, you know, a couple bucks here, not a lot. Your public officials is going to give you 3 coverages. 1, director's officer's liability. I said that the general liability provides bodily injury, property damage. So, right, did I say that they fall on your premises, someone sues you because of an injury? Mm-hmm. That's not your public officials. Your public officials has 3 distinct coverages. First coverage in your public officials is going to protect you, the board, the department heads, elected appointed officials, employees, and it's going to protect the volunteers. I don't know if you have official volunteers at the town here who do things for the town. And if you do, yes. Okay, you can be brought into a suit because somebody can decide to sue the town, the entity, and you individually for the decisions you make in relation to causing, your decision has caused somebody a financial loss. And so this is a policy that steps in and provides defense and indemnification, both for the entity and also for you in this scenario, okay? The second coverage that you have in here is employment-related practices. You probably don't have a high number of employees, but we could be sued for harassment, discrimination, violation of the civil rights, interrogation. It's not likely to happen, right? But what I will tell you is since the state of New York has changed the sexual harassment laws, right? What I will tell you is small towns like yourself, I don't see a lot of claims coming against small towns. But what I will tell you is when a complaint comes forth out of a department to the compliance officer in the town in regards to a claim that involves sexual harassment, how you respond in accordance with your policy will determine what you're going to do for the next 12 or 18 months. And it gets worse if the person placing the complaint reaches out and contacts the state agencies, which they now by law have to be aware of in the contact information. So if you have any questions on that, we can help you with your policy and your training and et cetera. Okay. Recommend that highly.
Yeah, our guys have been, did the training with NYMER.
Yep, that's perfect. The last coverage you have in your public officials is land use liability. We can be brought into a suit or claim alleging we have mismanaged a land use issue if you have planning and zoning and those types of scenarios. Right? So your excess policy. Now this is a policy that sits over top of your liabilities, the general liability, the auto liability, and your public officials. Your excess policy is on page 26. It's $3 million with a $6 million aggregate. Just flip your page right over, okay? And so once you have a claim, and now we're not even talking about, we're not talking about the cost to defend and the cost to provide attorney fees for the town, right? What I'm talking about is damages that have been awarded. If we have a claim that goes over the $1 million limit in the general liability, the auto liability, and the public officials, then what you have is a follow-through excess policy, and you have a $3 million limit that sits on top. So really what you have day to day is $4 million of liability insurance, okay? I don't think that that's bad. I will tell you that I have seen, now first of all, let me back up. If your excess policy becomes activated for a claim, we are dealing with a severity type loss, right? It's not a fender bender, it's a head-on collision. It's a really bad scenario. We're really negligent in what we've done. I can tell you, not this county, but a county close by, I know that there are 2 incidents in a rural county close by. There's 2 incidents. Both of them went into more than one layer of the excess policy, right? So why do I say that? Because liability is a big issue today. There are a lot of laws out there that are stripping away the statute of limitations and allowing more claims to come forth. And at the same time, you know, if it's a really bad scenario, they're just not settling for $2 and $3 million. So do I think you have a decent amount of liability insurance? Yes. Do I think you should start working towards $5 million? Yes. I don't think you should do that today. I'm not worried about that. But through your budget process, take a look and say maybe, you know, next year we want to put on $4 million and then $5 million and get ourselves better positioned, right? And I would recommend that you consider doing that. Okay. You have state fire fees, motor vehicle fees. They're just fees that I can't do anything about. They're really a state tax, they call it a fee, but because we sell you a policy, it's a commodity, it's a state tax. Now, I want to talk about a couple of things because we have an option. We have an option on the premium page for increasing your ordinance of law to $1 million. It's $1,227.05.
What page is that on?
It's right at 27.
Oh.
Yeah, it's right there. You got it? Now, I'm going to have to back up and I'm going to have to explain the property coverage, okay? And I think I'm going to have you turn the page. Let's go to page 5. Okay? Now, has anybody tried to track the construction costs in the last 12, 24 months? It's out of control, okay? It's out of control. We just built a new fire station. We started in 21. We went to referendum for $4.7 million. 6 months later, the bids came back. The lowest bid was $5.8 million. I mean, it had jumped that much. We did build our fire station. I'm in Honda. Built our fire station for $5.8. Just this last week, the Northville area, they have a new fire district, the Great Saginaw Lake Fire District. They're in Northville, okay? So they're about 25 minutes to the north of us. They're using the same consultant. And they're building a fire station. They're going out to referendum for a fire station that's 2,000 square feet smaller than what we built. And the consultant is recommending they go to referendum for $7 million and passed by 8 votes. So it's just that short period of time difference. It's 25 minutes up the road. And so what I'm telling you is, I want you to be sensitive. You have to be, you're responsible for the numbers on your property policy, right? And so with that said, I don't want to ever get caught where we don't have enough insurance. That makes sense, because nothing's going to cost you more than an uncovered loss, especially if you have a total loss on your property. Now, you have some buildings, so let me back up. So you have $3,268,208. That's the limit, right? And it falls and is available on any of these buildings that are listed below. And this is what we call blanket coverage. And it goes on to the next page. And, you know, it includes the new town hall, your absorption beds, your metering manholes, odor control systems, the sewer facility is on here. And so any one single given loss, we have 3.2, almost 3.3 million of insurance. Now, you know, a few years ago, I just said, geez, that's pretty good coverage. Today, I'm like, oh, I don't know how long it would take for us to go through that, right? So, you know, some of your buildings, I think we're okay with. Like this building, we don't need $3 million to replace this building, right? I'm concerned about the highway building, to be honest with you, because that's, my notes indicate that that's a steel structure, right? And you got 4 bays on it, and I have some of the building detail. And so, let me start by saying this. We're running a building replacement cost analysis at our agency on that particular building because it concerns me. Right? I think our sewer building and our sewer processing probably pretty close because we added that on when it was new. So I mean, I don't think we're too far out of whack with that. But I mean, for the highway department building, we have $677,000 representing that building. Although you have $3 million available if we have a loss up there, I still think that building warrants a review, and we're doing that. I don't have those numbers with me today, Bill, but I'm going to get those to you. Okay. And so, right now, today, we have 3.2 million available to replace what you lose. Now, let's go back and talk about the option, which is building ordinance and law. We currently have $500,000 for building ordinance and law. Now, what building ordinance and law coverage says is this. You have a loss, where's our code guy? If you have a loss in a building in the state of New York that's 50% or greater to the building that is standing, you cannot repair the damaged portion of the building without bringing the entire building up to current code. Right? Building ordinance and law does not pay for the damaged portion of the building, pays for the undamaged portion of the building and bringing it up to current code. Right? And so it could mean exit lights, it could really mean even more exits in the building. I don't know what, but they're gonna apply. See, when I was in the code business, we used the uniform code, but that's all changed. I mean, you're now using the international code, and so there's probably some things in there that are a little bizarre to me because I haven't studied that code recently, but I understand the processes. And when you go to obtain drawings and architectural studies, and they're looking at this building that might be 3/4, I hate to say this, I'd rather see it go to the ground. Don't write that down, don't put that on here. But from an insurance standpoint, it's better.
You have a newspaper guy here.
Well, I know who he is.
Wait, do I know you, Bill?
No, you don't. But I'm just telling you, it becomes very tricky when you have a partial loss, right? Because and people, the way people are today, they don't go around and look at a building and say, well, I had a partial loss, how much would it cost me to bring the undamaged portion of the building up to current code, right? So I don't think $1 million goes far today, to be honest with you. And so that's the recommendation. So there's a couple things going here. One, I'm going to come back to you with a recommended, I don't want to say recommended, you're responsible for the building limits. I'm coming back to you with a value for the highway garage for your consideration, right? And in my opinion, they're probably going to double.
Scary.
Though it shouldn't scare you. Okay? It really shouldn't scare you.
Yeah, I would agree.
Right? I'm not too far off.
No.
And remember your total premium for your property policy is $56.56, right? So it's not crazy. Okay? But I'm telling you,
All right, you told me.
I know. We're out here in what we call an ISO 9, ISO 10, which means 10 means there may not be any recognized fire protection out here, depending on how far the fire trucks have to travel, right? If it's more than 5 miles from the station,
I'm looking at it.
I understand that. You're a 9, right? So, So we're gonna come back with an option for
No, I'd like to
higher
see.
limits. You can see where this building ordinance and law comes into play, right? And so that's the option. I know long-winded, but I think it's important we should talk about it, okay? Any questions on that?
You guys?
All make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'd like to see the number.
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
Mhm.
We're gonna do that. I think once you see the number, and you include the building ordinance and law, I think it's gonna all make sense for the cost. And we'll get that to you by the end of the week.
Okay.
Second thing, quick line. You and I had a brief conversation about cyber, right? And you received a 17-page recommendation list from NYMER, right? I read it and I.
You did?
No, I flipped by.
So thank you. Okay. Now I don't feel guilty.
I'm like,
That's
you know, this
exactly
is,
what I did.
I put it down, I said, this isn't gonna work. So NYMER has hired a new cyber consultant. She's great to work with, I talked with her today. She would very much like to have a conversation with you. She uses Teams meetings, because there's like 4 things that you need to do. You need to have passwords that are complex. You need to have system patching for security vulnerabilities. There's just some simple stuff that I think you probably already have, right?
Considering that the county gives us the support that they do, the IT support, and they are very zealous about doing it right. So there's a very good chance. So yeah, please have her reach out to me. And if you want to join, that's fine too.
I'm gonna try, if I
Okay.
can.
Okay.
But she's gonna connect, I'll have her connect with you. And so at that point, you know, I'm certain that you'll see a more reasonable approach to the cyber. And so she's in here helping things out. Because, you know, I looked at 17 pages.
Well, I know. If it's 4 different things and it took 17 pages to say it, not good.
No, she's looking for, you have to back up your devices, right? You have to add complex passwords. I'm reaching for my glasses because I'm getting younger. And you have to test your backups. And you really need to have this security patching. So if you have software that has a security update that's issued by the company like Microsoft, then you have to make sure you do the updates to keep the security patching safe.
So I would think most of us do that already, but I don't have any way of proving it, but yeah.
So this is I'm gonna leave this with you, Bill. This is just a snapshot of the CBIZ report. And your building, your highway building is on there. All of your buildings are on there, except I don't think the sewer buildings are on there, the sewer system, because that was done a couple of years ago.
Right.
So,
Okay. We'll work on this invoice. I mean, we'll vote on it tonight.
Sure.
And we'll process this, and if you have another recommendation, we'll do that supplementary to this. Let's get this thing going.
Yeah.
I will need to contact you or Lisa, because we break out the expenses by certain, the sewer and the water as an example.
No different than last year?
No different than last
I'll
year.
have her work on that too.
So I don't need to contact her? Great.
Because we communicated about that.
Yeah, because as you probably know, with special use districts like sewer and water, town can't subsidize that, so that's why I need to know, so it comes out of their budget.
It's an operating cost.
Exactly. Okay.
Anyways, thank you very much. I know I went a little longer than some of the others,
That's okay.
we got it knocked out. I want to thank everybody, and it's nice to meet everyone, and enjoy the rest of your summer.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Bill.
You take care. That's always a tough subject. So, I did send you a draft of what he showed us. Trust you had a chance to look at it. And what I'm looking for, though, I will have to break it out by different funds, but your approval that I'm recommending that you do, that we process this invoice. Of course, it's due in 2 days. He knows we're not gonna pay in 2 days. It's just a matter of timing, they just give it to us way too late. And he's okay with it, we're covered. So, unless there's any questions or comments, entertain motion to approve the invoice.
I'll make it.
A second. And a second from Carl. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Thank you. All right. The next thing is proposed local law 1 of 2023. And we've just briefly talked a little bit about that before, after Marie's report. And I'll just quick background. This is something the state is doing. They passed a law at the end of 2022, giving the towns the option to offer this, not just towns, school districts, fire districts, counties, and we're doing it for county. And it would be up to a 10% exemption on the property taxes of someone who is a volunteer firefighter or a volunteer EMS employee, not EMT necessarily, employee. It could be a driver, it could be somebody that does the record keeping, whatever. And the state's not really being that nice about it. Our governor promised that she would not raise taxes. So a number of things as we've talked about in the past, like she's not paying the Medicaid that the federal government funnels to them. It's ours, but they're not paying it. And there is on the books, that's going to sunset a $400 per person tax credit on your income tax if you are one of those people that are volunteer. That's going away. That was a credit directly funded by the state. Now the local municipality is going to fund an exemption if you want to do it. And it's another case of the state throwing it over the fence and saying, you take it from here. But I didn't raise your taxes. Anyway, I personally think it's a good thing. It's very hard to get people here anywhere. Never mind Conesville, we're not unique at all, but it's very hard to get people to sign up for any of these services. It takes a lot of time, a lot of training, a lot goes into it. And what I was told, as far as the county anyway, probably applies here, is that the net cost to individuals that aren't getting this, it would be an increase on their taxes of an average of about $4 and change per lot. If we want to go out, or if fire district wanted to go out and hire people, have a paid squad, it's prohibitive. And people do want to have things like emergency services. You know, they'll complain about taxes, but generally you don't get pushback on police and fire and emergency services, things like that. And to me, it's worth about $4. Yeah, some people will be $10 because they have a really nice piece of property and so forth. So right now, we're not going to get into a discussion or debate or take public comment on it because legally, we are supposed to, as they say in the business, lay it on the desks of the legislators, and we have to advertise a public hearing on the subject, as we've done in the past with other local laws. And so what I'm suggesting is we set a public hearing for the next board meeting at 7 o'clock, which is our normal time. And we've done, again, we do it usually combine our public hearings so people don't have to come out twice if they want. But it'll be open to comments, open to discussion by the board members, and if we feel appropriate at that time, we'll vote on it, for or against it, or as amended. There's a lot of things that we can do. So this is a starting point. I think it's a good idea, but we'll talk about it in more detail. Right now, I'm just asking for a motion to set a public hearing for, what is that? What is the August what?
14th.
August 14th, 7 o'clock p.m. here at Town Hall for local law number 1.
I'll make the motion that we have that hearing.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
We have a second from Carl. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So carried. Thank you. Now, you do have a draft of the supervisor's report for the May budget statement, and there's really nothing too remarkable about it, but if you have any comments or questions, because I know you read it when I sent it to you.
Read it when I made it up.
All right. So you're gonna make the motion then?
I will make the motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Carried. Thank you. The next thing is our bond anticipation note that we talked about at the last meeting. And the interest rates were unsure. We didn't know, and they would, the National Bank of Coxsackie, which holds our bond anticipation note. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's it's up to 5 years, but you have to do it 1 year at a time. And we borrowed money to buy the loader for the highway department, and we were thinking of leasing it, and the interest rates were about 4% 2 years ago. We got an interest rate of 0.65. Needless to say, 0.65 is not viable anymore for anybody. And you guys approved me negotiating for anything up to 5%. We got it for 3.75, which I'm very happy with, considering what we could have been stuck with. I mean, we had the option of paying it off, but we're doing much better with that money sitting in the night class account, which is about 5%. So it just doesn't make sense. So, that being the case, I need a motion to approve paying this year's principal. And, oh gosh, I had it here
A
somewhere.
motion and a second and a roll call.
I'm sorry?
A motion, a second, and a roll call?
Yeah. Even though there's only 3 of us. So I need a motion to accept that?
Well, you should make that motion.
All right, I make it. How about that? Break precedent tonight.
I'll second that.
Then you second. Carl? Oh, no, we have a second. All those in favor, say aye after she does the roll call. Yeah.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Proudman. Councilwoman Mattice. Councilman Fancher.
Aye.
Supervisor Federici.
Aye. Carry. That's one of the few things that we have to do that, I'm borrowing money. Actually, it's supposed to be 2/3, which it is. So, thank you. I'm trying to get, and we have to wrap this up. Mike West, the attorney, he approved it. He has to do that annually. And we have to wrap this up by Wednesday. And the person I'm supposed to meet tomorrow to do, it's actually like a closing. Didn't come in today, so I'm hoping she'll be in tomorrow. Or I'll talk to somebody else, because I have to go to Coxsackie and do that. Thank you. Tire Day. We already did this talked about it last month. And I just want to reiterate that it's scheduled for July 22nd. And I know a few people were concerned that we're not taking any tires over 22.5 inches or tires on rims. It's because the company that we're working with will not take them. They never did, but we used to slip them in sometimes, but I can't get away with that anymore. To be blunt about it. Don't put that in the paper, please. But they will reject the entire load, send it back, and we will pay for it. Or if we don't pay for it, they won't come back anymore. So I'm asking anybody who knows anybody, please, let's follow the rules. We do a good thing with Tire Day every year. We almost fill up a bin. I don't know if we're going to fill it up anymore with the big tires out. And I mean like the big humongous ones. I don't know what it costs to dispose of them, but we can't do it. Hold on a second. Okay. Next is the ADA grievance procedure. Sound familiar? Because we did this last month. And I'm very thankful to Town Clerk Carrie Sutton for agreeing to be the Conesville ADA coordinator. Thank you. I promised you you'd be a placeholder for a month. I did get somebody to take your place, so I just need a, we'll do it by resolution because it was originally done by a resolution, but I'm hoping you'll agree to appoint Dr. Kostowski as the Town of Conesville ADA coordinator. And yes, you want to know how to spell it.
Oh, yeah.
I knew that. So, and I did tell them in the almost 10 years I've been here, we've never had a complaint. Now watch all hell break loose, but,
As soon as you open your mouth.
that's what Carrie was worried about too. So, anyway, I made them, I introduced it, and I need a second, and then we'll do a roll call.
I'll second.
Okay. Kelly seconds.
Okay. Councilman Fancher,
Aye.
Supervisor Federici,
Aye.
Councilwoman Tice, Councilman Krogman, Councilman Smith.
Aye. Thank you for your service.
Anytime.
Thank you. Okay, next is, I just have a brief report on the Couchman House, and there's a lot of overlap then with the Historical Society is doing, and we have a young man, gentleman, who has been helping us out since part of community service, and we had carpeting on the upstairs, on the stairwells, as well as most of the floors upstairs. And I tell you what, you were a wild animal. You're ripping out those rugs and throwing them out the window. You were wonderful. I had to be careful a couple times. I almost got hit. But that aside, the tacking and the staples was a tedious, pain in the neck job that we didn't get to yet. And this gentleman did it over 2 Saturday afternoons, and I'm thankful. I'm going to ask him to do the, remove the, I guess it's linoleum, something like that, the floor in the kitchen. We'll get that up. And I'm going to start running out of things to give him for the foreseeable future. But he's committed to 25 hours, at least the judge told him 25 hours. So, but anyway, that's more for information. I really don't have anything, there's a few things going on, but nothing that we really would share at this point. So that's just the report. No need for it. There was a gentleman here at the last meeting. And that gentleman came in, I don't even remember his name. I've never seen him before or since. But he came in, he was concerned in light of all the wildfires up in Canada about what the DEC and individuals are doing here in the town about, what's the right word I'm looking for, mitigating any potential fire hazards or fuel for fires in terms of when it's hot out or dry, just like I guess it was up in Canada, still is. So I waited. I said, well, let me find out. I mean, we're just speculating as to what the DEC's role is here. And DEC obviously manages their forests. So I did talk to the gentleman by the name of Nick Shaw, who is a DEC forester, and he confirmed what I kind of suspected but didn't want to say because I couldn't confirm it, is that the DEC engages in what is known as best forestry practices. And what that means is, in this case, is that the when they do a clear cut, they deliberately don't remove the brush, tree tops, or anything like that. Also, they just have a lot of same debris around the uncut forest. It's the same thing, and there's a reason for that. Part of best forestry is that you leave that material there because it eventually decomposes into the soil and returns those nutrients to the forest floor, which is a natural thing. And they also is good for the wildlife. And even more important is, I don't know about more important, but if there's any kind of slope there, and they go in and pull all this stuff out, there's no undergrowth. Like the rains we just had, you're going to have tremendous gullies in there. So, yes, some people are concerned that it can contribute to a fire, but on balance, they feel that this is the best way to do it. It's why they call it best practice. So, and I kind of thought that, but I was hoping he'd be here, but if he ever asks me or see him again, I'll tell him. I guess that's it on that. I do have, what did I do with it? I did do a budget resolution that I wanted to include as part of the discussion on the May supervisor's budget report, but I didn't put it in there, but I would like to do that if you folks would. You have a copy. Look, that's what it is in there. You got it over there?
Well, so one of you guys will give it to me.
No, we don't get one?
You want one?
I need one.
You got it? Yeah, you have it.
You need something else, Dad?
Yeah.
Speak of Lori, oh, Lori's got one. No, I got one.
There's nothing really out of the ordinary here. I mean, we can read them if you want, but it's pretty much adjustments here and there. We haven't really added a lot of money to our expenses. So. Anybody wants to see it, it's available. Nothing to hide.
Just not my back.
I don't know how that happened.
The guy who's got to do it, you don't give
Yeah, I know.
Nice work.
Well, you could have used that as an excuse.
Let me get this back to Lori.
Okay.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Supervisor Federici,
Yes. Aye.
Councilman Fancher,
Aye.
Councilwoman Tice, Councilman Crowden, Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Thank you. That's all that I have. Does anybody here though on the board have something that they would like to discuss or bring up since we're all together?
I have nothing.
Nothing.
All right.
I'll make a motion to review the bills.
Okay, and there'll be nothing coming, I just want folks to know they're welcome to hang around while we go over the bills, but is there anything that you want to discuss? Or we're gonna adjourn right from there? I just say that, so you don't go into business and people have left and say, what did you do?
Good.
Okay,
Second that call.
did you second?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.